spoke to me tonight was like very reminiscent of like Carl on cocaine.
Like this close, she's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "Nothing. What are you talking?"
The biggest gaslighter I've ever met.
You've used that 5
You're
times.
literally like Sandoval right now.
She's like, "Oh, it's like the old Carl." She really wants old Carl. They'll fucking burn this house down.
With season 8 of Summer House getting off to a tumultuous start, the main question on everyone's lips is what happened this summer between Lindsay Hubbard and Carl Radke that led to him calling off their engagement. After witnessing the ups and downs of this on-again, off-again couple, it seemed that at the end of season 7, the fairy tale had finally come true for these two long-standing cast members. They were going to marry their best friend. Carl was sober and everything was falling into place for these two fan favourites. But clearly it wasn't meant to be. And I can't be the only one thinking that there were so many signs that this relationship wouldn't end well. From the roller coaster around Lindsay going sober to support Carl and then drinking again at the end of last season, to the fallouts with Danielle and Carl's unending indecisiveness about his career, it was clear, at least to me, from the start that this couple were never going to last. There were too many aspects of their relationship that just didn't line up. In this video, we'll be taking a look back at the timeline of events that led to Lindsay and Carl's whirlwind romance and blindsiding breakup, so we can try to uncover what went so wrong here. Were this couple fated to break down? What was the final straw that caused Carl to call off the engagement? Was Lindsay really blindsided by his decision? And where do they stand now? Can these ex-best friends and ex-fiancés ever find their way back to each other? And more importantly, should they? Before we dive in, here's a little reminder to subscribe if you're new. This channel is all about diving into the most talked about Bravo news and headlines, from Vanderpump Rules to Real Housewives, Summer House, and everything in between. So if you're a Bravo addict like me, don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date with all the latest gossip, and let me know what you want to see me cover next in the comments below. Let's get started. Before we get into the most recent drama playing out on this season of Summer House, let's take a journey back in time to the start of Lindsay and Carl's love story. It all started back in 2017 with the first season of Summer House. Both original cast members Lindsay and Carl entered the show as friends. Carl at the time was hooking up with cast member Lauren Workus, while Lindsay was dating Everett Weston. The pair grew closer friends throughout the first couple of seasons as they both dated other people. Then in 2018, when season 3 was filming, Lindsay showed her support for Carl when he was dating co-star Paige DeSorbo. Although still friends at the time, this was the first inkling we saw that there may have been something romantic brewing beneath the surface, as Carl told Lindsay, "You're basically my sister, that I want to have sex with." And clearly, he got his wish, as by the start of season 4, which was filmed in 2019, Lindsay and Carl revealed they had taken their friendship to the next level and had shared some intimate moments in the lead up to filming.
Carl was like, dude, I don't even know how to tell you this, but I fingered Lindsay.
I need to stop picturing it. They fingered, banged, and they didn't even make out.
Although this all seemed lighthearted and fun, as the season progressed, it was clear that the couple were catching feelings but were worried about damaging their friendship if they were to try to make it into something romantic. In one of her confessionals, Lindsay said, "I know Carl likes me, and honestly, I like him too, but he's my best friend. If it doesn't work out, it could alter our friendship forever. I don't really know what to do." While in a conversation with co-stars and ex-cast members Hannah Berner and Luke Goldbranson, Carl said, "With Lindsay, I'm like 100% Carl. I haven't been like that. But at the same time, I don't want to be rejected." But as is standard for this fiery duo, things were over quicker than they started. As a rooftop date involving sushi and wine, the couple quickly descended into an argument over Carl's past and his commitment issues, where he explained that he was afraid to dive into a relationship with Lindsay, and things quickly got heated.
I come from this world of like cheating, lying, infidelity, like everything. It's like it's a lot.
Then don't it up.
Understood, but it haunts me. Like,
I have family shit, but I don't have commitment issues because of it.
I don't give you about stuff. You're vulnerable. I listen.
I don't make excuses.
What? It's not a excuse.
Can you calm down?
Can you apologize or no?
Can you take a deep breath?
No, you're disrespecting me. It's not an excuse. Just say, "Hey, Carl, my bad. I f***ed up." Please. Can you?
I need you to calm down.
I am.
No, take a deep breath, because I'm not going to apologize when someone's yelling at me. Because I'm going to get defensive when someone's yelling at me.
After this feud, the pair decided they would be better off remaining friends, with Carl calling it easily the worst date I have ever had. Honestly, maybe this is where everything should have ended. At this point, the pair still held on to their close friendship, with Lindsay even coming to Carl's defense on Instagram when he faced heat from fans over his behavior throughout the season. She said, "Our expectations were not aligned, which is where it all went wrong. She added, "I held him accountable then and he holds himself accountable now," stating, "He watched the episode and called me saying, 'I'm sorry, Hubhouse. Watching this back, I realised I was wrong and it's hard to watch. I wonder if we'll see moments like this as more episodes of season 8 are revealed. Somehow, I highly doubt it." Everything seemed to simmer down in season 5 as the pair took time to focus on themselves individually. Then, in January 2021, Carl made the decision to get sober after losing his brother. Perhaps this is what sparked a new flame between the couple, as Lindsay revealed that she started to develop feelings for Carl at the prom-themed party in season 6, which was filmed back in summer 2021. Looking back on the moment her feelings developed, Lindsay wrote in an Instagram story in April 2022, "Carl was so handsome, so sweet, so thoughtful. He had me cracking up all day," adding, "We truly didn't leave each other's side that day. My heart was beating faster and something just felt different. We didn't slow dance that night, but he put me on his shoulders." And she later confessed these feelings to Carl at co-stars Carl Cook and Amanda Batula's wedding in September 2021.
After like prom and like whatever, like everything that happened, like we just something, I don't know, something completely switched for me. Like, I'm kind of like developing feelings for you that are stronger than friendship, and like I don't know if I'm alone in this or like what's going on.
Yeah.
What?
Love it. No, I mean,
What? Say something.
no, I mean, listen, we have an incredible friendship and connection. There's no denying that. I will agree. Like the last couple weeks, I've definitely looked at you differently.
Although they agreed to take things slow, it didn't take long for the relationship to get spicy, as in October 2021, the couple went all the way. The pair chose to reveal this to elated fans back in October 2022 when Carl shared some throwback photos on Instagram with the caption, "A year ago is when everything started to change in our relationship. In the last 12 months, we travelled all over and had so many amazing experiences together. Still pinching myself looking back at our Europe trip. We've laughed a lot, we've cried a lot, but mostly I'll never stop celebrating my love for you. I'm a lucky man." And Lindsay commented, "Should we just tell the people? This is the day we finally went all the way." However, just because things got intimate, they weren't yet official. In November 2021, Lindsay appeared on Watch What Happens Live, where she said she was single and her and Carl were just best friends. Though as always with this tumultuous couple, it didn't take long for them to become official. In an interview with Page 6 in January 2022, Lindsay said her and Carl were definitely dating, adding, "We don't really talk in labels, but we're very much together." Carl later confirmed this in an appearance on Watch What Happens Live, where he proudly claimed, "We're girlfriend-boyfriend." So how did we go from this loved-up couple confessing their love for each other in early 2022 to an engagement and a breakup all by summer 2023? Well, season 7 of Summer House, filmed in summer 2022, saw the couple rooming together for the first time on camera, which definitely had its ups and downs, with one of the main points of contention throughout the season being Lindsay's ongoing feud with former best friend Danielle Oliveira, who felt uncomfortable with the pace of Lindsay and Carl's relationship and the breakdown of their friendship trio. In just one of many fights between Lindsay and Carl, which stemmed from Carl speaking with Danielle and smoothing things over between them, despite continued tension between Danielle and Lindsay, Carl said, "Since Lindsay's been drinking, I've just been struggling to navigate it." And as we can see from episode 2 of season 8, this issue was clearly never resolved. I'll dive into my opinion more later, but I honestly think Carl needs a sober partner. That's why things were working out so well in the beginning. But as soon as Lindsay has a drink, all the pair can do is argue and all hell breaks loose. Anyway, back to the timeline as we're almost up to date. So, after sharing a room while filming Summer House Season 7, Carl and Lindsay bought an apartment together in New York in June 2022. And this was the final milestone before Carl proposed to Lindsay in the Hamptons in August 2022, which was shown in episode 13 of Season 7. After Season 7 wrapped filming, things seemed to be going well for the couple as they shared posts about their wedding planning on Instagram. With a date set for November 2023, Lindsay shared a story saying, "Quick trip to Mexico for some wedding planning" in June 23. But then, in true Lindsay and Carl fashion, things came to an abrupt end in September 2023 when Lindsay confirmed that the couple had broken up. She shared that it was Carl's choice to call off the engagement and the wedding, and she felt completely blindsided by the decision. In an emotional Instagram post, Lindsay wrote, "I would like to start by saying thank you for allowing me the space and time to process my emotions, heal, and grieve the loss of not only my relationship, but my friendship with someone I considered my best friend for 8 years. The last 2 weeks have been the most heartbreaking and emotional weeks of my life. My entire life and future was ripped out from underneath me, and I've had a hard time making sense of it all, with no answers or closure on why. I feel humiliated by how it went down and simultaneously heartbroken that it happened in the first place. My trust has been betrayed, and coming to terms with that has been difficult for me." She added, This was not my decision, and I do not agree with quitting a relationship at this level without trying everything possible first. I have spent the last couple of weeks finding my own closure and peace. I am forever grateful to my best friends who have not left my side and have been picking up the pieces of my heart and life every day from the fallout. I am still grieving and trying to process all that has happened, but I felt it was important to update you all. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for the love and support from my friends, family, castmates, and all of you for carrying me through. A couple of months then passed with both cast members taking the time to process the breakup before they were thrust back together in a dramatic panel at BravoCon in November 2023. During BravoCon, Carl revealed that he moved out of the apartment he shared with Lindsay straight after the breakup, and the pair were no longer living together. Though in recent news, it was revealed that he continues to split the $13,000 per month lease with her. Although a respectful decision, Lindsay made it clear that she wanted nothing to do with Carl. Check this out.
Awkward.
Little awkward.
It's a little awkward, but we're here and we're gonna try and get through it, so.
Okay.
Well, he likes to speak in we's, I like to speak in me's.
I guess
You're not a we anymore, just to clarify.
It's 100% clear from this clip that there is bad blood between these star-crossed exes, much of which comes from the way the breakup happened. Lindsay has always stuck to her story that she was completely blindsided about Carl's decision to break off the engagement and couldn't believe that he called production to film the most heartbreaking moment of her life. In an episode of the Viall Files podcast, which aired just after BravoCon back in November 2023, Lindsay ran through the events that happened on the day of the breakup with host Nick Viall. Check this out.
And I get this text on Tuesday night saying that they're going to film tomorrow. And I'm just like, my radars are going off. My red flags are waving. He's responding immediately. He's moving couples therapy. He's clearing the schedule.
He's like, oh, no problem.
He is like, absolutely. And I am just like, this is weird. So I come home and he is in our guest bedroom, lights off, doors shut, in hiding already. Because he knows if he sees me, I'm going to start asking a lot of questions. I wake up early and I go into his room at 8 a.m. and I'm like,
He's not there.
do you know what they want to film with us about today? And he pops off on me. If you don't change, I am this close to calling off the wedding. And I'm like,
Wait, but
I just woken up, rolled out of bed, opened my eyes, didn't even have my coffee. And I love coffee. And I'm trying to figure out why we're filming today. Because this is not making sense. We wrapped on Sunday. It's now Wednesday morning. I got a text on a group with them. He's eager to change our personal, couples therapy around so that they could make room for filming us. So he left the apartment and I called my dad. I was like, something's up. I called Gabby. I called my best friend Yvonne. And I just was like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, we're having, these conflicts in our communication surrounding his career. Like, but why are we filming?
As someone who has always seemed very in control and sure of herself, I can't see Lindsay saying a breakup happened this way if it wasn't true. I think she'd love to be in a position where she could claim full responsibility and say it was her idea and all went down how she wanted it to, but she can't. And despite it being a point of contention whether or not she knew they were on the verge of breakup, her story has never wavered. In a more recent podcast, Chicks in the Office, Lindsay admitted that with hindsight, this is the best decision that could have happened, but the way that Carl broke up with her and calling in production before telling her how he felt was brutal and wrong.
I will never invalidate someone's feelings. Like, if he wanted to break up, you are valid in feeling that way. But the way he did it was just so gnarly. Right. I just think no matter who Carl told before me, I just think it's messed up, disrespectful, and has a severe lack of respect for our friendship, our partnership.
However, Carl adamantly denies ever calling production in specifically to film the breakdown of their relationship, claiming they film reality TV shows. This is just what happens. Cameras and production are there when real life moments happen.
I did call production. I think that's what's unfortunate is about getting into that game with her. I'm not going to play that game. I know the reality I lived in. And I didn't call production to set her up. I didn't call production seasons 5 when my brother passed away and I got a phone call. I didn't call production in other moments. I don't. We are a big part of this show. We've been filming it for 8 seasons. I didn't call production to purposely set something up like that. And it's unfortunate that she feels that way, but like I said, I'm not going to get into that game.
No matter who called the camera crew, Lindsay alleges she had no idea why they were coming over that day and didn't believe the relationship was falling apart. She was planning a wedding and thought they would be together forever and work through any issues they were having. She had no idea that these issues for Carl were make or break until, well, he broke it. And to add insult to injury, Lindsay claims that the whole world found out about my breakup within 30 minutes of me finding out. She explains on Chicks in the Office that Carl decided to send out an email to the entire guest list for the wedding, explaining that it would no longer be going ahead. She goes on to explain that there were press contacts on their guest list who Carl didn't think to remove before sending the email, and so the news was leaked to the world. Let's have a quick deep dive into what this email said. According to People magazine, it read, "Words cannot possibly express how difficult the last 2 weeks have been for Lindsay and I. We are so incredibly sorry to all of our guests for the confusion and lack of communication. We were left trying to figure out how this all exactly happened before we could even have the opportunity to determine the path forward amongst ourselves. There have been a lot of false narratives and misunderstandings that have made this all the more painful, but sadly at this time we are not moving forward with the wedding. The fact of the matter is Lindsay is devastated and I'm crushed with how all this transpired. I graciously ask for some patience and grace to heal and recover while we navigate this extremely difficult time." He added, "I don't take this lightly. We are super grateful for the love and support you have shown us and will do what I can to help with any costs associated with changing plans. I'm sorry again this has become such a mess. Thanks for your unconditional love and support during this tough time. We'll be in touch with further updates. With love, Carl." So the main question I think we're all asking is, was Lindsay really blindsided by Carl's decision to end the relationship? Was it really that unexpected? Surely she knew things weren't right. Although Lindsay claims that she and Carl were in a good place for the 6 months leading up to the end of the engagement, she does admit they had a couple of rough weeks here and there, some of which we're currently seeing play out on the first few episodes of the latest season of Summer House. This most recent argument has already seen Lindsay get drunk and call out Carl, questioning his sobriety, calling him Cocaine Carl, asking if he's on something, before calling him a gaslighter. Watching this as an outsider looking in, it's pretty hard to believe that Lindsay thought everything was sunshine and rainbows. After calling out her soon-to-be husband on the most important decision he's made for his mental and physical health, and questioning his sobriety on national TV, it's no wonder Carl felt things were on the rocks. To me, it all links back to that statement he made back in season 7. Lindsay has a few drinks, something gets twisted, and suddenly something horrible happens that can't be taken back. Clearly drunk Lindsay doesn't gel well with sober Carl, and if the two can't agree on this fundamental aspect of their relationship, it was pretty much doomed from the beginning.
You're the one who's drinking all night and wakes up angry.
And you're the one who
I'm feeling
clearly
great.
doing
Like,
other
I'm gonna
things.
go for a run right now.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
Why did
ma'am.
you say I'm sober right now? Why
Lindsay,
not say I'm
I am
sober?
f***ing sober.
Then why say right now?
In that moment, you are not. You drink all day long and are rude and aggressive to me when I'm trying to be supportive.
Interestingly, the couple's castmates have also weighed in on the situation. In an interview on Watch What Happens Live in November, Kyle Cook admitted that while filming season 8, he saw cracks in the foundations of their relationship and stated that, "I was not surprised based on what I was privy to that they called off the wedding." He said he never thought Carl would make such a drastic move, but he wasn't surprised based on the events of last summer. While in a more recent episode of Watch What Happens Live with Danielle Oliveira, she admits that since watching the first few episodes play out, she's surprised by some of Lindsay's actions. Although she's been on Lindsay's side since the breakup and had her back while filming, she told Andy Cohen that when she actually watched the episode and the fight between Lindsay and Carl, she was surprised that Lindsay had questioned his sobriety and had doubled down in the morning when she was no longer drinking. What this tells me is that Lindsay was clearly downplaying the severity of their issues to her friends, and maybe she was lying to herself too. On the Chicks in the Office podcast, she states that she ignored a lot of red flags from Carl, so maybe she was also ignoring the fact that their relationship was on the rocks, perhaps wanting it to work so badly that she was ignoring fundamental flaws and insurmountable obstacles that in the end they just couldn't overcome. But she also does state that Carl is bad at communicating, and this is something that we've seen with Carl in the past, so maybe this is just a classic case of miscommunication. He thought she was seeing all of the problems they were facing, and she was completely blinded by wedding planning and had faith it would all work out. Perhaps this is why Carl feels so strongly that she wasn't blindsided when he called off the engagement.
She's gonna have to spin this and then tell everybody she's blindsided.
I feel very blindsided.
I'll be the bad guy, that's fine. But she's blind to the things that have gone on the last year.
What do you guys think? Did Lindsay really have no idea that this was coming? Or do you think she knew more than she's letting on because it suits her narrative to be the victim? Blindsided or not, one thing I'm certain on is that these two are not getting back together anytime soon. When asked about their current situations in recent interviews, Lindsay has stated that she is dating and in fact has a rotation of guys she's speaking to in the DMs, but nothing serious yet. while Carl has revealed that he isn't dating again because he's still dealing with some entanglements with Lindsay, which I believe is referring to the fact that they still co-own their New York apartment. He also says that while the breakup is going to be a hot topic in the news for a while as the latest season of Summer House airs, he doesn't think it's fair to himself or a potential partner to get into any dating situations right now, though he concluded his interview by stating optimistically that the girl will come at some point. So with no chance of reconciliation and the explosion and complete breakdown of their fairy tale about to play out on TV, where does this leave the couple now? Will they both return to film season 9 of Summer House? Will they ever be friends again? The future seems uncertain. Both Lindsay and Carl have expressed in various interviews that rewatching this season is going to be difficult for them. They both lived it and know their truths no matter how it's edited, though they both admit that there are bound to be things that they'll each regret doing or saying while rewatching and reliving these raw moments in their lives. It's not going to make for comfortable viewing, that's for sure. And speaking on if she'll be returning to film with Carl next season, or if she'll go full Ariana and refuse to film with her ex at all, Lindsay stated that right now she's unsure. Keeping things vague, she said, "I'll need to revisit and see how I feel in June." So how things play out in the rest of this season of Summer House has the potential to have a big impact on what next season might look like. No matter what, Lindsay stated, "The future is bright and I'm excited for it." As for me, I'm intrigued to watch this season play out. With each passing episode, I'm becoming more and more certain that it would have been impossible for Lindsay to ignore the signs that her relationship was on the rocks. But we'll have to wait and see as the season continues to play out. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and check out our previous videos for rundowns and deep dives into all your favourite Bravo storylines.